Today I'm going to be making a Lady Baltimore cake. This recipe is from Margaret McBride Encyclopedia of Cooking. This is the deluxe illustrated edition. The copyright on this is 1959. So you can see how old this is. As a matter of fact, these pages are really brittle and you have to handle with care. So anyway, for this recipe, there's gonna be a cake recipe and then there's gonna be a frosting recipe. So this is just for the cake. So you need 2 cups of cake flour, and I kept out the Swan's Down. That's just the brand I got, but it is cake flour, so it's 2 cups of cake flour. You need 2½ teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, a 1/2 cup of shortening. This is Crisco shortening, and this is 1/2 stick of Crisco shortening. You need 1 cup of sugar total, but you're gonna have 3/4 cup in one bowl and a 1/4 cup in another bowl. You're gonna use them separately. And then you need 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 3/4 cup of milk, and 3 egg whites, and my egg whites are in here. You want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees, and you want to use 2 8-inch round pans, and you want to either line them with parchment paper, just the bottoms with parchment paper, or we have these little silicone like mats, but you don't spray them at all. So if you're going to use parchment paper, like I said, you just put it on the bottom, but you don't spray them. So we have those ready. So the first thing we want to do is, like we do with a lot of these recipes, you want to take your flour and your baking soda and your salt, and we're just going to...
Baking powder.
Baking powder. Did I say baking soda?
Yeah.
Baking powder and the salt, and we're going to mix them together just like this, just so that it's ready later. It's not any big deal. And then we're going to take our cream shortening, and you're going to cream your shortening and your sugar, your 3/4 cup sugar. So we have our shortening and our 3/4 cup of sugar, and we're going to cream. They say cream them together, I say mix them together, but it should be creamy. So now we're going to add in our vanilla. Scrape down my bowl, and now we're going to add in our flour and milk. So we're going to alternate. We're going to add a little bit of flour and then some milk, and we're going to keep doing that back and forth until we've used all of both of them. Switch out my bowl. We're fortunate enough to where we have an extra bowl for this. If you don't have an extra bowl, then you will have to take this and put it in another bowl.
Or use a hand mixer.
Or use a hand mixer, yeah. Because what you want to do, hold on, I need to get my bowl on here. This is a different bowl. What you need to do is you want to take your egg whites, and you want to use your whisk attachment, would probably be best. And you want to mix your egg whites up until they get foamy. Once they get foamy, then we're going to slowly add in our remaining 1/4 cup of sugar. So now I'm going to take this egg mixture and I'm going to fold it into this mixture. And it says lightly but thoroughly. So this is where it will be interesting for me, because I don't want to start stirring it. But I should do it all at one time, right? Pour it all at one time. bake at 350 degrees for 20 to 25 minutes. I'm gonna set my timer for the low end of the time for 20 minutes, and then after they baked, I'll let you know how long they actually took to bake. I checked on these at 20 minutes and they were still just a little bit runny on the inside. So just a little bit though. So I reset my timer for another 3 minutes and they were perfect. So I tested them with a toothpick. The toothpick came out clean. So mine were in for 23 minutes total. So now we're going to just let them sit here and cool completely. Now it is time to make the Lady Baltimore, the frosting. So I'm going to give you everything at one time. You need 1.5 cups of sugar, a dash of salt, a half a cup of water, 3 tablespoons of corn syrup, which is hard to see, but it's in there, 2 egg whites, and then you can use either a half teaspoon of vanilla or a half teaspoon of almond extract. I'm using almond extract just because I really like it a lot. So, and it'll make it, you'll be able to taste it even though it's only half teaspoon. And then you also need, a 1/4 cup of each one of these things. Figs, dried figs, pitted dates, seedless raisins, walnuts, and almonds. So, Kevin used how many?
It was just a box and a half of those big boxes.
A box and a half, and this is, I like to tell you, this is a 1 ounce box, so Kevin used a box and a half. Now these, if you buy this brand, the Sunny Fruit, these come individually packaged.
Yeah, so only open one at a time or you'll open too many, like I did.
Okay, and then the dates are already chopped, so they look just like this in the bag. And then, of course, we have our nuts. So the first thing, I'm going to tell you 2 things I'm going to do at one time. I'm going to go ahead and take my egg whites, and I'm going to put them in my mixer. And you can do this by hand. It is much easier. I mean, not by hand. You can do this with a handheld mixer, but it's much easier if you do have a stand mixer, just so you know.
Or you could do it by hand too. Boy, it's going to
take forever. So I'm going to put the whisk attachment on here, and we're going to beat our egg whites. You don't add anything to them until they get frothy. And I'll show you what that looks like when we do it. So we're going to be doing that while we are doing this step as well. We're going to cook our sugar, salt, water, and corn syrup. So sugar, salt, water, and corn syrup. And this is sticky. And we are going to cook them on the stove to softball stage, which is 238 degrees. And so you want to have a candy thermometer for this. Okay, so this is going to go on the stove, and then we're going to whisk our egg whites at the same time. We're going to keep our mixer going. We have our hot liquid. It's at softball stage, and we're going to mix it slowly in with our whipped egg whites. Now we're going to add our almond extract or your vanilla extract if that's what you're using. Fold in all of our raisins and dates and nuts and all that. For cakes, I did take a knife and I went around the whole edge because it did not have you spray that, and so it kind of wanted to stick. I think you would be fine if you wanted to spray the whole pan. I don't think it would hurt it personally. So we're going to put this in the center, this mixture in the center of the cake, but we're also going to be frosting the whole outside and edges of this cake. seen pictures of these where they're also 3-layer cakes. So if you want to do 3 layers, you can. I will also add that I have seen pictures of these that where they just put the filling, like the nuts and stuff like that, on the inside of the cake, but then the outside of the cake is just white. So you don't, it looks like a white cake until you cut it open. But this recipe book, I believe I said it is from 1959. And so I wanted to go with an older recipe, and I wanted to try to be as authentic as I could. Could have put more of this in the middle, but you never know. I'm never sure, like, how far is this gonna go? Am I gonna have enough? And so clearly I could have made that center layer thicker, but that's okay. I like how this turned out. I like the shape of it and everything, and I think that's very pretty. The Lady Baltimore cake is a Southern specialty. It's associated with novelist Owen Wister's 1903 novel, Lady Baltimore, which was inspired by a cake he enjoyed in Charleston, South Carolina. Imagine writing a book based on a piece of cake. The cake is served at the Lady Baltimore Tea Room, and it was a variation of the Queen cake, which was a popular dessert of its time. So,
It's cool.
Here we go.
I'll try some of the cake itself.
Oh, good idea. The cake is, it looks dense, but it's nice and white.
It's pretty dense. It's not like a brick, but it is pretty dense.
Mm-hmm. But it does have a really nice flavor too.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to get a good piece.
Mm-hmm. When you add the frosting to it, it moistens it up quite a bit. I don't really call that. They call it a frosting filling.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a thick glaze more than anything.
It's the texture of like would you say a marshmallow cream?
Yeah, marshmallow cream. It's a little softer than that, but it's very sticky like a marshmallow cream would be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing that's how they make marshmallow cream, is just like we do.
Mm-hmm.
Except adding maybe some different flavoring or something.
I like this quite a bit, and I like all of the, I like the almond flavoring, so you do taste that.
Mm-hmm.
And I guarantee you if I had added vanilla, I wouldn't have known the difference.
Mm-hmm.
But that almond stands out. It is different. It makes a statement. The nuts, I do like the almond slices that we use. Yeah, you get the texture of those.
Like
you don't like the almonds?
I don't like the texture of the slivers.
Mm.
It feels like I'm chewing into like eggshells or something. Because they snap when you bite into them.
They do. They're crunchy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're really thin.
Mm-hmm.
So it just gives me an odd texture. But I mean, they don't taste bad. They're just an odd texture.
I just got raisin.
Yeah.
So depending on which bite you get, you might taste more date. You might taste more raisin. You might get more of the nuts in there. It's just going to depend on which bite you get. What do you think about the sweetness level?
It's okay. It's sorry, just taking a big bite. The I don't know, it reminds you of marshmallow cream level of sweetness. So if you had a cake and you literally took marshmallow cream and spread over top of it, that's kind of what it tastes like.
I was gonna say, if you wanted to just be quick and dirty, you could get a white cake mix. You could get you some marshmallow cream, and you could add all the stuff, stir it into the marshmallow
cream. Somehow
cream,
thin it out a little bit,
and
but
then
not much.
Put that on the cake and call it a Lady Baltimore, and nobody would know the difference.
God.
Because I really don't think they would know the difference.
Your cake would be fluffier.
You know, it would be fluffier than this because this is a very dense cake.
Very, very dense.
I do like it.
It's like they don't put any leavening agents in there. You know, it's like there's nothing in there to raise it.
Right. Well, you notice you're not using, like a lot of ingredients, you use butter and stuff like that. You're not using that.
We're also using cake flour, and we normally use the self-rising flour. Which is just regular flour for us. And maybe that makes a difference. Maybe if you threw out the cake flour and used like regular flour, maybe it would rise a little bit more. Of course, you probably wouldn't use the baking soda and stuff, or the baking powder. You probably wouldn't use as much if you're using the self-rising flour. But I don't know. No, this is one I would skip.
I could tell you're not crazy.
It's not bad, and you know, I could eat the frosting and stuff, but it's got so much stuff in it that it's not that nice creamy sweet texture and flavor that I would prefer.
Right.
Because I love dates and figs and stuff, but this has got too much.
You think it has too much?
Yeah, it's almost got too much.
I think if you wanted to impress guests with the name of the cake, or if you want to present them with something they've never had before, I mean, how many people do you know that have had a Lady Baltimore cake? Not that many. And there is no such Lady Baltimore. This has nothing to do with Baltimore, Maryland, or anything like that.
Like a specific person.
Yeah, it does not. But I'm just thinking if you wanted to, most people have not had that. I've never seen one sold in a store, at least not around here. And so if you wanted to present something different, then you could make this. But I don't think you need to, like I said, you don't necessarily need to go by this recipe. I think you could buy a white cake mix. And then if you do that frosting, like we said, and nobody's going to know the difference, because maybe I'd say back then they didn't sell marshmallow cream, you know, in a jar. Now you can go to Walmart and get you some marshmallow cream, and so you can do it really easy if you want to. But
it's not going to quite be exactly the same, but it would be pretty close.
It will be really close, I think.
1,000%, I would recommend replacing this cake recipe with a
white box cake.
Even if you make the frosting or what.
I don't think it's a bad cake. I think it's just a very dense, dry cake.
Yeah, but
there's not a lot of rise on it. Yeah, you want something light and fluffy. I don't think it tastes bad, though. I actually think it tastes good. Bad. But I always think it's fun to try a new recipe, something we've never had before, something I know my mom never had before. I mean, this is really cool to be able to do this. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you've ever had a Lady Baltimore cake, let us know, where did you try it? Did your mom make it? Did you make it? How in the world did you come about it? But I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.